Welcome to this week's video blog. It's a getting to know me series today, so not a lot else to report really. Do you know, this week has been a little bit difficult. Wouldn't be surprised if I put on weight. Some of that is deliberate. I lost too much last week, all at once, and I have not been very well this week. I've had a sort of virus. It's pretty much gone now, but it didn't half mess with my ears, and it was some sort of coldy virus that was not nice, a cross between mild cold and bad hay fever. Other than that, everything has pretty much been okay. Now, I wanted to finish off talking to you about the second questioning, and also speak to you a little bit about university. You know, the second questioning took off during the first the first part of my university life, and university I found interesting. I was doing a subject, interdisciplinary human studies, which was, for want of a better word, a sort of anthropological degree, if you like. It was in social sciences and humanities that were mixed, so I did modules in psychology, sociology, philosophy, English literature, a couple from peace studies, that sort of thing. The average of everything, combined with the result of my first rate, in fact, dissertation, left me with a 2-1. I think the real reason that I didn't get a first was because the average was affected by the last semester of the last year, in which I had a lot of problems with my annus horribilis. So, you know, that might have brought down the average a little bit. It was a good degree, but it didn't qualify me to do anything particularly. Do you know, I also learnt a lot about being with other people, and I learnt that sort of you do at the end of the day have to look after yourself. Otherwise, for example, when your student house goes sour because some people just want to leave, they've had enough, and you can't afford it on your own, and you assume that, you know, your friends, other friends will pull together and they won't let you down, and you find eventually that you are the only one in the house. That was the sort of thing that I was learning, that yes, it's good to have friends, but possibly not to rely on them, or to always have your own escape route, I suppose, to things. And I have in my spiritual journal here a selection from all sorts of letters that I was sending people at the time. You know, my thoughts on various things like that. Without sharing, confiding and honesty, friendship of any depth rarely survives. What else? With my experience of friends, I'm probably not the best person to have a relationship with. And what about friends? G-Floor taught me that my friends are fickle and often not there for me when you need them. You know... One thing I promised myself when I was younger and I first went to school was I'm not going to change for people. This eventually became an issue about conformity. Yes. There's also in here quite a lot about letters that I sent during the second questioning. You know, if the first questioning was my own decision that there was a God and that he was the Christian God, the second questioning was, right, well, is he a personal God? Do we get to sort of communicate? How do we communicate, so to speak? And it was a good year, and I wrote to a lot of people, a lot of ministers in other denominations as well. You know, and I have various sort of things stuck in this. This is my first spiritual journal here. I hasten to add, sorry. I don't know whether I have much to show you, because, you know, this is reasonably personal. Where are we? I did a lot on trying to understand myself. You know, I drew all sorts of timelines. You know, if I was starting seasons, this is when I was able to look back for the first time and say, look, I do believe that life is done in seasons, and these are mine, etc., etc. Where are we? Yes, here we go. This was a letter to me, in fact. In our own ways, we are both afraid of following our truths, for what it might lay bare. If we discover certain things, we will undoubtedly go into questioning and agony. As humans, we all endeavour to explore our universe, our nature, who we are. Along the way we fail, often big time. Myself have done, but the thing is, I am who I am now as a result of all that has gone before. Keeping this out of your sight, just in case you can see things that maybe you shouldn't. You see, that's 2000, and you know, do I actually have written in here? I don't know. The actual, because when the second questioning finished, there was no specific testimony. It finished because I actually had an answer to my question. You know, I had been talking to people about this, and time again, people had referred me to a passage in the Old Testament. Where are we? Yes, my quest was to find this God on as personal a level as possible. Yeah, so basically I kept getting people give me the same verses to read over and over again. You know, my thing was, my problem was, look, I don't know what's wrong with me, because, you know, basically we've been on this course, this alpha course, and the Creator had, so to speak, gotten in touch personally with everybody apart from me. So what is wrong with me? You know, and what do I have to do to make this sort of work? How do we get a personal relationship with a God that claims he can do personal relationships? And towards the end of the 12 months, I started to ask people, and they started to point me in the same direction, and they were all pointing me to this passage in Deuteronomy that basically says, look, it's quite clear. It says, you know, to do what it says in the Bible. Basically, was the basis of it. I remember one particular Sunday morning when the second questioning ended, and it was the third time in, you know, I'd got a letter, I think, to begin with, from Saturday, and I was reading it in the morning, and it pointed me to this passage in Deuteronomy that basically said, you know, I set before you two paths, blessings and curses, you know, it's up to you which path you follow. Then I went and I spoke to my parents, and they too, not knowing the content of this letter, were pointing me to exactly the same verse, and I thought, this is a bit strange. And then I remember that we went into church and we sat down, and the service started, and this lady came in. She was late, and she sat in the row in front of me, and printed on the back of her jumper was this same Bible verse. And I was thinking, okay, this has now gotten a bit creepy. And my mother said, he's not usually that blunt. This is what we define as communication. This is communication. And then I sort of got the idea, okay, so it's to do with coincidences that are pushing you in a certain direction, that are obviously not random enough to be coincidences, but they are, if that makes sense. And that was the basis of communication. You know, I pray to him, and that is how I get communication back. And of course, with that, you know, that was my alpha moment, I suppose. The response. Something had happened, and we sort of journeyed on from there. And here we go with the birthdays. We have got quite a lot this week. We've got Maggie White, who I used to work with, Sam Davidson, who I still work with, Carrie Nash. She is somebody I knew, in fact, from secondary school. One of the oldest friends I've got online in terms of how far back we go. Joe Callis, who I work with, Jason Kramer and Saya, who are both fighters, and Jamie Skelton, who I used to work with. So, you know, there are... I want to say that although I do have quite a lot of friends on Facebook, most of them I know, as in first-hand, have worked with. You know, it's the fighters maybe not. The correspondence is usually just through online, although not always. That's my phone about to go, I do apologise. So that is my weekly video blog done for this week. I hope they all have fantastic birthdays and eat lots of cake.